I smiled at my sister-in-law Cape as she handed me a mimosa cocktail. Thanks, sweetie. I took a sip, enjoying how inappropriate it was to drink a mixture of champagne and orange juice at 10 in the morning. I hope none of my grandchildren will ask me to share. Hearing one of the grandchildren giggle, I turned my head and my smile grew wider. Maddie, my 4-year-old granddaughter, and Mia, who was 3, took turns twirling in their new dresses. Maddie had a purple dress with a wide satin ribbon at the waist, and her cousin Mia had one almost exactly the same in pink. I admired the craftsmanship and attention to detail. Every sequin on the bodice was sewn on by hand. Toni, my second daughter-in-law, of course, was very skilled with her hands, and it was so sweet of her to make them for Mia, as well as for her own daughter. She even went so far as to decorate their ballet shoes and make magic wands. It's amazing that the girls considered themselves fairy tale princesses. As I watched, my 6-year-old grandson Christopher rushed between his sister and his cousin, clutching his Captain America shield. Close behind him was my other grandson Matthew, dressed as Iron Man, swinging Thor's hammer. I smiled. He obviously had no problem being 2 superheroes at once. They flew around the room like whirlwinds. Even the baubles on the Christmas tree jingled from the wind they created, before rushing out the back door which my son Shane had held open for them. I shook my head gently. Just yesterday, it seemed that Sam, my husband, was doing the same thing for our boys. They were also tearful, full of energy and excitement. I looked around my living room, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. I loved Christmas when the whole family was together. My 2 sons with their wives and children, my daughter who was pregnant with her first child that year, and her husband Tom. Sam and I had our doubts about Tom from the start. He was 10 years older than Melinda and quite reserved, but we were glad to be proven wrong. He adored Melinda and encouraged her to continue studying archaeology, even though he knew how difficult it could be to balance a career with a family. And he made Melinda happy. Very happy. What more could we ask for? "Hi, Mom. Dad told me to give you this," said my eldest son, Richard. He handed me a card and a small box. "Oh, I thought we opened all our presents," I replied. Richard smiled and shrugged his shoulders. What can I say? I'm just the messenger. I smiled back at him, thinking about how his resemblance to his father had grown with each passing year, and accepted both gifts. As good manners demanded, I opened the envelope first. "First open your gift, then read the accompanying letter. I suggest you do it alone." I smiled, looking around for Sam to wink at him to show him that. I appreciated the mystery, and if what I suspected was true, the sexual nature of his gift. I couldn't find him. Instead of looking for him, I gave in to my curiosity and headed to the study to open my mysterious gift alone. When the door closed behind me, the sounds of my family's celebration faded away. I sank into the leather armchair next to Sam's bookcase. It was so comfortable that it was almost sinful, and I opened the gift box. I was wrong, it wasn't sexual. It was a case. Inside was a pendant. At first, I didn't know what to do with it. My instincts told me that it was more than just a random series of silver, gold, and rose gold swirls delicately sprinkled with diamonds. Upon closer inspection, intertwined words were revealed. How ingenious. The greatest gift of all. I was thrilled by the artist's skill, by how they had hidden the words in a pendant no more than 2 inches in diameter. It was a statement, one that you could wear high, framed by the V-neck of a blouse, or low on a heavy chain over a polo neck jumper. I liked it. It was unusual and unique. Trust Sam. He'll find something just as unusual. As instructed, I pulled the sheets of thin writing paper out of the card. I could see that they were filled with words. I smiled in anticipation of reading his love letter, mentally thanking the gods that this man still loved me so much after all these years. Dear Lisa, I believe you have deciphered the words hidden in the design. If not, think again. You must know them before you continue reading this letter. Have you figured it out yet? They say the greatest gift of all, and that is what I am offering you. This Christmas is my gift to you. What you ask is the greatest gift of all? It is forgiveness. I am offering you forgiveness and a second chance. Contact your lover today. Write to him that it's over, that you can't go through this, that you've made up your mind, that you never want to see or hear from him again. The letter fluttered from my fingers onto my lap as I gasped. Where? Where had all the air in the room gone? I clutched my chest. My heart was pounding. Was I having a heart attack? Unfortunately, part of me wanted it to be. If I died, I wouldn't have to face Sam. I wouldn't have to see the condemnation in his eyes. I wouldn't have to witness his pain or disappointment in me. I wouldn't have to look my sons or daughter in the eyes and see my vain weakness reflected back at me. Sam knew. Oh God, my beloved Sam knew. My heart ached with the pain he must have felt. I caused that pain. Reality hit me with the truth. I bit my lip to keep from screaming. How awful guilt feels. How soul-destroying it is to know that you are to blame, that you are responsible. You are the villain. I have no one to blame but myself, only my weak, vain, selfish self. With trembling hands, I picked up the letter from my lap. I knew I wouldn't like the rest of Sam's message, but Sam deserved my attention. He deserved to be heard. I won't go into detail about why I suspected what I did about those suspicions, and what I found out. Suffice it to say that I know his name is Peter Piper. I know enough to know that you plan to sleep with him on New Year's Eve, and more than enough to know that you have already laughed at our 35 years together. Before you read any further, stop and think. This is what you have done to me. I must write a letter to be heard. My eyes stung with shame. Sam, my dear, sweet Sam. Only I could read the true depth of pain in those few short words. He had never revealed his innermost self, his vulnerabilities, to anyone else on this planet. Only to me, who was unworthy of him, and I betrayed that trust. I felt crushed. My throat tightened, suffocated by guilt. What could I say, Lisa? At one point, I had a beautiful, loving wife, a house that was too big but nice, and a wonderful family that I was proud of. Things were going great. The children were wonderful. The grandchildren were even better. And then I woke up one bright and sunny morning and realized that it was all a mirage. My world collapsed beneath me. I felt like I was in a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. You know what I realized in the midst of it all? Emotions aren't static. You can't divide them into pieces. Not completely. Not forever. They're not solid like bricks or stones. You can't have a stone of pain, a stone of emptiness, and a stone of anger. Put them in a corner of a room and close the door behind them. They're more like water. They flow. They rise and fall. They come in waves, and the mind is not a vessel that can contain them like a bowl. They seep, penetrate, and seep into new areas. It's as if my whole being was a house, and your betrayal turned on a tap in my brain. This adulterous water filled my mind, polluting every waking thought, but then it overflowed until it saturated my heart, my intestines, my limbs, every nook and cranny, every stairwell and room in my house. And it hasn't stopped, and with each passing day it begins to rot. The foundation has been weakened. Soon there will be no foundation left to destroy. You were my foundation, Lisa. And now I've discovered that you're not covering for me. It's not you and me against the world, and you're not so loving and devoted after all, and without that belief, the rest of my life is like ashes in my mouth. Everything I've worked for over the last 35 years seems to no longer matter. All the compromises, all the sacrifices, every single one of them was meaningless. They achieved nothing. It was all for nothing. Sam's words shook me to my core. What had I done? What had I brought upon myself? Sam, strong, determined, noble Sam. Sam, my rock, a wonderful father and provider, Sam with his corny jokes and terrible cooking, Sam who loved his family with all his heart, Sam who now believed his life was worthless. And it was my fault. Remorse wasn't a big enough word to describe the depth of my suffering. I had behaved foolishly, foolish and vain, consuming the attention of a young man. And why? I wasn't unhappy. I wasn't bored. I wasn't dissatisfied with Sam or my life. Quite the opposite. I was ashamed to admit that I did it only for the warm glow it gave my ego, for the thrill of feeling young and desirable again. What does that say about me? I could have destroyed the person I loved just for my own vanity. Water dripped onto Sam's neatly written page. I looked at him in surprise. I raised my hand to my face and found that my cheeks were wet. I hadn't even noticed that I was crying. Maybe I shouldn't say this now. Maybe I should save it for the last few paragraphs. But I can't. I have to tell you, if you don't end your affair today, I'm not going to fight you over money, a house, or any other material crap. None of that matters. I'm not going to fight this man for your heart either. I'm not going to try to woo you or beg you. I'm not going to get all romantic and try to sweep you off your feet again. I'm not going to point out all the advantages of choosing marriage over your affair. And I'm definitely not going to beg. I shouldn't have done that. I should have considered that battle won the day you accepted my proposal. And anyway, how could I compete? He's younger, he's new, a mystery for you to unravel, a new and sweet taste for you to try. How could I, old and boring, known to all, old and boring vanilla, hope to compete? Compete? Oh, Sam, you don't have to compete. I'm yours. I've always been yours. I just got a little lost. Oh, dear, please forgive me. I was a foolish old woman. Seeing my actions through Sam's eyes, I understood the true nature of my actions. They were not beautiful. When? When did I become so susceptible to flattery, so needy? When did I lose my focus, my moral center? The questions haunted me. I pushed them to the back of my mind. Eventually, I would have to answer them. But at that moment, it was much more important to read Sam's letter and really listen to his words. What you did broke my heart so badly that I'm not sure it will ever fully heal. I had no idea such pain existed, and it doesn't stop. It goes on and on and on. Night after night for the past month, I've watched you sleep, silently screaming at you. I ask why you didn't tell me you were unhappy. Why did you never give me a chance to satisfy that need, that hole you turned to him to fill? Why wasn't my love and devotion enough? Do you have any idea what it was like to have dinner with you, watch TV, read the newspaper, and wonder what I did to deserve a wife who is constantly distracted, always pensive and lost in her thoughts? Even when you were with me, you weren't with me. It was like some fantasy concert or neighborhood party, and if it weren't for me, you'd be there. I was suffocating. Pain. So much pain. I had caused so much pain. Oh, Sam, you were always enough. Even when I thought those words, I wondered if they were false. If Sam was enough, why was I looking for attention elsewhere? No, that was wrong. Sam was enough. The problem was me. I was afraid of getting old and of no longer being wanted. There was a bottomless pit of need inside me. I couldn't describe it adequately. I just don't know how to put it into words. The empty loneliness I felt every time I hugged you for the last 4 weeks, knowing that you were looking for his attention, his praise, his caresses, his touch, his kisses. Every "I love you" you said didn't make my heart glow warmly like it should have, like it used to. Instead, it felt like another stab in the heart. Your words, your affection, everything is poisoned by your secrets and lies. I think it's true what the experts say. You can never truly know what's in another person's heart. I thought I knew yours. I thought I knew you. But I was wrong. It seems I don't know you at all, because the Lisa I knew and loved was incapable of deception and betrayal. Oh, I know you haven't slept with him yet, but I also know you've done things that no loving, faithful wife would ever do. And worst of all, I know you were planning to take that final step in the very near future. Knowing that his words were true drove me crazy. I felt Sam's pain as if it were my own. With every sentence, I felt another stab of pain. I didn't try to avoid them. I deserved every one of them. The tears kept flowing, and I didn't try to stop them. Just a week ago, you came home from a party with your friends. Yes, I know that was another lie and that you were with him. It was late. I pretended to be asleep. You shook me gently and patted me on the shoulder. I think you were trying to wake me up so we could have sex. It made me furious. I thought I was going to explode. That you came to me looking for my embrace after spending the evening with him. I wanted to roll over and strangle you. Instead, I continued to pretend to be asleep. After a few minutes, you gave up and pressed yourself against my back, even hugging me. But that wasn't the worst part. You sighed. After 35 years, I know every nuance of your sighs, and this one was satisfied. It reminded me of the cat we had when the kids were little, Sebastian. He used to sigh like that too, as soon as he stretched and scratched my chair to shreds. You were just like that damn cat. You scratched my broken and bleeding heart, and then sighed happily about it. I shuddered, remembering that night in vivid detail. I had come home feeling so sexy. How awful to know that Sam had known. God, how used he must have felt. Now I found it disgusting to have aroused my sexual appetite, flirting and devouring compliments during dinner with Peter, knowing that he would be satisfying himself at home with Sam. I carefully placed the letter on my lap and covered my face with my hands. I wanted to hide. I didn't like the person I saw in Sam's letter. This woman was not a good person. She was frivolous and carelessly cruel. She was vain and selfish. What had happened to me? How had I strayed so far from who I used to be? The woman who had raised 3 children to be honest and decent? Where had my honesty been for the past month or so? I lifted my face, forcing myself to take a few deep breaths, as I did when I ran cross-country, and it hurt, and I needed a little more oxygen to cope with the pain. It took several repetitions to prepare myself for the rest of Sam's letter. I've loved you for so long, practically my entire adult life. Feelings like that don't just end. You can't just turn them off like a light switch. But at the same time, I have new feelings for you, and they're not pleasant. They're angry and hurt. They're upset and vengeful. They're even hateful. Right now, as much as I love you, I despise you just as much. My heart, my guts, feel like a blender with all my old and new feelings spinning around together. What will come out the other end, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me hopes that you choose your lover, because the path to any semblance of happiness will be difficult, strewn with obstacles, and I will be driven by the need to work to improve a situation that I did not create. This last month has been the worst of my life. I admit that when my fears were confirmed, I didn't know what to do. I felt paralyzed, unable to act. I never thought I would find myself in this situation. I didn't have any rough plan to put into action. My initial reaction to the knee to the groin was to fire you, but then I thought about the children and grandchildren. People, I might add, have also been hurt by your betrayal, even if they don't know it yet. What we do affects them. Like a pebble thrown into a pond, it sends ripples across the water. Nothing we do, no decision we make is in isolation. There are always consequences. I don't think I would have written this letter to you if it weren't for them, but enough. I'm offering you this one chance. It's either him or me. I have to be honest. Even if you end it today, I can't guarantee that we'll survive, but if our marriage, if we have any chance at all, is important to you, you have to leave him. Then you have to choose me, choose us, and you have to do it today. I gasped with relief. Sam had given me a choice. It hurt to know that he felt he had to make a choice. Despite the current stupidity, this was Sam to me. He always had been Sam. He always would be Sam. I was in pain and angry, and I vowed to do everything I could to heal the wounds my actions had caused. Gratitude for his love for me and our family, enough to try, for what he meant in his first words, filled my heart. He was going to try to forgive me. He was going to give me a second chance. Maybe I didn't deserve the chance he was giving me, but I wanted it no matter what. I wanted it with every fiber of my being. I dropped the letter and reached into my pocket for my phone. Without a moment's hesitation, I composed a message to Peter. "It's over. It was a mistake. I don't want to see you anymore. Don't call, don't text. Delete my number." All I felt when I pressed send was relief. If you make the choice to stay with me and our marriage, all you have to do to let me know is wear the necklace. Later, when the children and grandchildren are gone, you can show me the text so I can check. And yes, Lisa, I will need to check. With your words and actions over the past month, you have shown that your word alone is not enough to prove anything. In making your decision, keep in mind that I am not offering you a free pass. Forgiveness does not come cheap, and to be completely honest, my gift is as much for me as it is for you and our family. My offer of forgiveness does not diminish what you have done. Unforgiveness is like a tumor. It eats away at the holder from the inside. I refuse to be its next victim. In this respect, my gift is not only for you, but also for me. Second chances don't come without cost or effort. You are the one who sowed the seeds of destruction, so most of the work of rebuilding our relationship will be up to you. I will undoubtedly have many difficult questions for you to answer, obstacles for you to overcome, and problems for you to face. I cannot promise that I will not yell or lose my temper. You have lost my trust. It will not be easy to regain it. The same goes for respect. All you have left is the embers of a fire that once burned in my heart. It will be up to you to fan those embers back into a flame. If you choose your lover, leave the locket in its case and place it on the mantelpiece. That choice will mean that you will move out of the house and begin divorce proceedings in the new year. The decision is yours, divorce or the greatest gift, forgiveness and a second chance. Sam. I folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. I will always keep it to remind me of what I did and what I almost threw away out of stupidity. Taking the gift box, I opened the lid and stared at the pendant for a long time. When I first opened the box, it seemed beautiful to me. Now, knowing its true meaning, it became even more precious to me. With trembling fingers, I took it and unfastened the clasp. Taking one last look at the inscription on the design, I put it around my neck. When I touched it, making sure it was centered on the neckline of my blouse, I promised myself that I would wear it every day. For Sam, so he would know that I loved him and appreciated his generosity. And for me, so I would remember the Christmas when my loving husband gave me the greatest gift of all.